Welcome to the final game of our first day of the 2023 Division 1 New Zealand Ultimate Championships here at the beautiful Ngā Puna Wai Sports Complex in sunny Christchurch. We have for you a great matchup between Zodiac from Auckland and Cannons from Canterbury. My name, as always, is Blair Monroe, and I am joined by the inimitable Rachel Siahani Royal. Say hi.
Good evening, everybody.
What an exciting game. So, with the numbers of teams in our Division 1, our women's division, there have been 9 teams. We've split those across into a pool of 4 and a pool of 5. These teams are in the pool of 4. They have played previous year's champions, Nexus Affinity, and last year's runners-up, Blueberries. And so both of these teams have had a bit of a rough start so far. So this is the one. This is going to be the game for both of these teams to win, as it is going to have a lot of impact on their path to the final. Hannah Au with the first pull of the game. We're going to see Cannons come out on offense.
Chiang's looking to pick up the disc. We're seeing a match defense at the moment from Zodiac with a horizontal stack from Cannons. Struggling a little bit with the disc, and she sends it across field, but there's no one there, unfortunately. That was a tough first throw. That really, cutters are working hard, but they were marked very, very tightly. Who do we have coming to pick up the disc?
Priscilla Yu to initiate the offense after a quick turn from some great defensive pressure from the Zodiac side.
Now, we've had a variable amount of wind today, but it's still pretty gusty in this spot at the moment, so it really could change at any moment. And we have a McGuinness trying for a poach D there. Not effective on the poach D, but she is able to get in the way of that throw by Al, and it rolls up the side. Rolls quite away, actually. It's under the bleachers now, the disc.
You'll be able to hear the wind pushing quite extensively from, I believe, the near side of your screen to the far side of your screen, so it's a strong crosswind. That means that playing towards the far side of the screen is going to make things a little bit easier.
Great grab by Taylor Nartz. And it's floating, And good reception by Jenkins in the right spot at the right time. Now, Cannons is currently in their 3rd season as a team.
Grell with the disc marked by Ford. Slots one through to Taylor Nartz for a great opening score for the game.
And that's a hold for Cannons at the moment. So yeah, Cannons in their 3rd season. They've been getting stronger and stronger each year. So they are really coming out firing. They've been working really hard as a team. And yeah, for a long time, they have great trainings. Good teamwork.
And I'm no mathematician, Rachel, but with a 5th place finish in their 1st season, a 3rd place finish in their 2nd season.
What are they going to do next season?
What are they going to do this season? That's the big question.
Now, Cannons would love a run at the final. They're a competitive team, so yeah, they'd be keen to challenge the other players, other teams here.
Absolutely, and they qualified for this tournament. They know they deserve to be here. They've had a real rough start so far against the impressive Blueberries and Nexus Affinity, but this is an opportunity to really regain a bit of that composure that's seen them achieve such success in the lead up to this tournament.
Yeah.
And really sort of put the pressure on and dictate how the next 2 days of this tournament are going to go for them.
Now, Zodiac placed 3rd in their qualifying tournament up in Auckland, the Battle of the Bridges. So, strong team from Auckland. We're looking at a big pull from far, trying to roll that disc up.
Stopped early by Duffy. Spiker to pick up.
Spiker's great on the disc. An unfortunate little drop from number 88, who is
Jang for Zodiac.
It's been a dropsy day for a lot of teams. That wind is, yeah, it's just tough to read. The disc can be in one spot one moment and it'll completely change direction the next.
Absolutely. Probably more impacts from wind in Ultimate than in just about any other throw and catch sport. But a nice quick break as Megan Edwards manages to fire one across to an open Becky Farr in the end zone. Cannons going up by 2 over Zodiac.
That's a quick break, and not a lot of energy required for that break from Cannons, so they'll be pleased with that.
But that's really the thing. It seems that that came off an unforced error. So as you say, it didn't require a lot of energy, but it was more, I guess, like luck than anything else. And then just that ability to make that switch to
Yeah.
offense from defense that allowed them to close that point out.
It seems like Zodiac was a little bit on the back foot when it came to switching to defense there. They'll hopefully be wanting to look at that, and if it does turn again, they'll want to be right on the heels of their matchups. So now we've got another pull coming from Cannons, Zodiac receiving. Wind's picking up a little bit over here. Looks like Mance with the disc for the pull.
Taylor Nards leaving the field after trying to do some last-minute quarterbacking of the defense. Nice low pull, going quite a way down the field.
Zodiac also traveled down to Christchurch for the Southern qualifier as well. It was good to play them and next transfer them to gel as a team. We see a zone here. High stall count for Logan.
Great work by Anna Cairns, circling all the way around the disc, keeping the stall count high, not letting any reset options go through.
It looks like at the moment Cannons are trying to contain backwards the disc with the handlers, but broken through.
Logan to
Logan.
Ing, right at the halfway point. Opportunities to work the disc.
Ing dropping back to be behind the disc. Cannons holding that zone. Logan, a longtime handler of the Zodiac team.
Megan Duffy doing what she does, working through that midfield, cutting aggressively, opening up a lot of space, but the big shot goes up, intercepted by the Cannons.
Wrestling with the interception there.
Edwards again with a big shot being run down.
That-
Not able to get there.
Sisson just missing that. I wonder if it was partly to do with the read. She's got some good closing speed, but it's hard to read that disc when it's right over your head and also trying to toe it in as well.
Yeah, especially as it starts to fade away towards the sideline. So Logan gets another opportunity. Working with Parker.
So you see this zone is allowing the swings. They've got a little arrowhead going on at the moment.
Anna Cairns. Ellen Sanders doing a huge amount of work trying to contain that disc. Logan pops one through to Duffy. Quick reset, moving back into position, lining up another attack opportunity. Parker has the disc, hoping to shift the defense, manages to thread one all the way through to the far wing, but
There's no one there, unfortunately. That came out quite fast. I imagine she might have been looking for her other handler, but it just, as it was being thrown downwind, really, the wind carried it a bit too quickly.
wind picking up quite extensively now.
So you've got two other handlers quite close to the sideline here.
Maya Mance on an aggressive up line. Comes back, nearly gets it, but it's Julia Giurgiu. Great touch on that disc and then quick acceleration. She looks to stretch the field.
She's dragging two defenders with her as well, so really making more space in the middle here. There's actually some really good patience here from the Zodiac handlers. They're not being tempted into some iffy throws. They're confident that they're going to be able to find a receiver.
Spiker with some big fakes, but nothing develops in the downfield. Quick bounces the disc off Logan. Puts a long one, Giurgiu's underneath it.
Hansen instead picks it up.
Yep. Comfortably intercepted. Finds Mance.
To Hansen. You hear the sideline calling for a deep cut. And
Forehand snatched out by Spiker.
shows the importance of running onto your discs as a receiver. Cannons are able to quickly transition back into that zone. They're ready for it. Zodiac would be could be useful to, ooh, just off the hands of Spiker there. Be useful to make
Great pressure, yeah.
if they
Sanders
turn it-
right on that shoulder as well. Mance with a forehand around the zone. Bounces off the midfielder, puts a backhand up. Great score there
Great score by Bessling. She read that all the way into her hands, and it was a nice put by Mance. Curved it over her defender, right to the back of the end zone.
That's going to put another point on the board for the Cannons as they go 3-0 over Zodiac.
Long point that time round, but still everyone's cutting hard on the field.
Yeah, just really well done disc. We see that again.
And we see the
quick forehand, cutting on the defender's outside shoulder to get in a great position to receive the return pass, and then just putting one out into the deep space for Bessling to eat up.
Great timing by Bessling. She knew that was potentially going to come up from Mance. She was in the right spot. Being visited by Mance in the commentary box at the moment. We've got the whole Cannons team, or most of the team, on the line at the moment listening. They're going to be discussing their defense, potentially another zone. It's useful to have those people from the sideline there to know what their defense is going to look like so they can help from the sideline. Tiang with the poles. It's looking pretty glary out here as well at the moment. The sun's dropped quite a bit since compared to the earlier games.
Ooh, the wind really starting to have an impact now, not just on the player, but also the security of the equipment in the commentary booth.
Oh, and that's
Ford not able to reset that one cleanly. Cannons with an opportunity, only about 20 meters away from their end zone.
they're taking their time though.
And it looks like we're going to see Zodiac immediately try and switch to a zone defense.
Ooh, and just out of the hands of Fuller. The wind taking it away from her, not giving her a second bid. Al wanted to get that down away from the end zone.
Ooh.
Just missed by
Great positioning, great closing speed. Managing to read the fall of the disc, but it's just outside. A scooper over the top. Fielded nicely by Hansen.
With a zone like this from Zodiac, it's very forward heavy, so it's you really need to be smart about filling in those spots if you break through those handler marks at the top of the zone.
Absolutely. Quite often you'll see some zones sort of have 2 in the front, 3 in the middle, 2 in the back, or 3 and 1 in the deep. The more players you commit to the front, yes, you put a lot of pressure on the wall, but once that wall is behind the disc, you're essentially playing 4 players against 3. A little bobble, but Zodiac keep the possession there.
Goraz with the disc.
Resetting as the wind picks up, keeping the disc low. And it's a little bit too low as it touches ground. Cannons with an opportunity here again. Wanting to put their 4th consecutive point on the board if they can.
We've got Sisson with the disc.
To Teo Lenartz. Tiang available as a nice reset.
Tiang and Teo Lenartz have worked together for a long time in that handler space. And there's a run through by Au. She's off.
Immediately pushing into a great downfield
She wants
sprint. They
a
want to put
huck.
the big shot up. It's there.
Oh.
Can she get underneath it? Oh.
She should have kept running a little further.
Looked like she may have tried to correct her course a little early on that one.
Good hard work by Au there, getting the D and then immediately knowing that there's going to be someone else on her team who's going to throw it to her if she runs deep.
Yeah, and it's really just, it's great awareness as well of what the wind is doing. Like, yes, it's a predominant crosswind, but I feel as though there is also a slight right to left, which is making a big difference.
Another scooper from Taylor Knights, but this one doesn't land.
So the disc is going to go back to Zodiac on the far sideline, a little inside the halfway mark.
Bigger upside down throws like that are going to be, blown away a bit more in this weather.
Forward with a couple of quick steps to get free, overcommitting the defense.
Ford has got good reach when it comes to those breaks.
Zing finds Al on the near sideline, puts a big shot up, looking for Ing. Is it going to come down?
And a little too high over their heads, unfortunately.
Yeah, just that's one of the perils as well, the wind that you don't often realize when you're down on the field playing. Just every meter above the ground you go, that wind speed just picks up and up and up. And so every element, every time you have a little bit more float on the disc or a little bit more height, that wind has a bigger impact, and it's really hard to feel that from down on the ground. So it was a great look out to Ing in space, but as that disc gained height, it picked up the wind and started to push away. Not even Santillion as the backup receiver was going to be able to pull that one down. Tiang to Teo Lenartz. Comes wide. Kimberly Fuller with the disc now, facing down against that Zodiac zone.
Ooh, and a low throw, not able to be kept up by Tiang. Yu is looking for a quick start, and Ing to score.
There it is. Zodiac on the board. No bagels today. The score is 3-1. Still in favor of Cannons, but a great score by Zodiac. Priscilla Yu grabbing the disc, running it to the front of the end zone. A quick reset back to Julia Ford, and then a nice score to Ing on a slash cut towards the far sideline.
And you see Ing massively open. And Zodiac will have a little bit more confidence now. It's always tough to go down in the first few points and not have any points for your own team, so that'll bolster them. We've got Coach Zev Fishman on the line, talk to his players. So Cannon's having a chat as well. Seems both teams are regrouping their strategic mindset. Logan with the pull on the high side, so that's the side closest to the camera.
So there's a lot of field ahead of her to use as a potential target, a landing pad that should allow Zodiac to really put the pressure on defense. There's a huge amount of float underneath it. It's going to give a lot of time for the Zodiac to set up a zone if they want to. It looks like they do.
And you see, I think Ao in the middle here, she's not even facing the disc all the time. She's looking at the receiving players and who's the biggest threat downfield. So she's trusting her handlers behind her, her defensive handler marks to do their job. And
that, the hard work by Hahoff, Shepherd, and Park in the front. It's going to generate that turn, but Shepherd just misses out on the score there.
And that was she was right there. It's a tough read when it's dying like that into the ground. Nice find by Far. Mance has got great grabs as she's shown just then.
Mihi Shepherd aggressive on the mark. Edwards calm with the disc, manages to look back.
With the weather being like this and playing lots of zones, it can have the effect where it slows the game down, makes the points long. Oh, and a great big by Ao. She's been known to get, layout Ds plenty of times before, and she's showing her defensive prowess just then. And
Logan with a high backhand finds Minji Park.
And another,
Ao tries to clean that one up right at the end. It looks like a call was made on that. Maybe the reception there was interference on the play.
Great read by Ao, but it looks like the Cannons.
There was definitely a Cannons arm in the path as to whether or not there was contact made or whether or not that interfered with the catch is for the players to decide. So a reminder for those watching at home, we are talking about a self-officiated sport. There are no referees or officials on the field apart from the players themselves who take the responsibility of learning the rules, making calls and resolving them as cleanly and amicably as possible.
It seems to be a contested foul potentially. It's gone back to the thrower.
So Minji Park is going to have another opportunity to close this point out here.
And as a Zodiac team, I'd be looking at getting it out of that corner. You know, you want to get it into the middle of the field, into a new space on the field, high side on the field.
Resets to Al. Logan there as support. Not necessary. It is Sarah Jessup with a nice cut towards the front corner for the score. Zodiac 2, Cannons 3.
What a sneaky cut. She managed to lose all of the defensive players and she must run very quietly.
Ah. Some of us don't have the luxury.
But what, massively open, it's an excellent play.
We'll get to see that again. There it is. No defense anywhere in sight. A great score there by Sarah Jessup.
So Jessup taking advantage of the confusion in that corner. So that brings the score to 3-2.
Which is a great start. Cannons 3 on the bounce, and now Zodiac answering a 2 back-to-back of their own, and an opportunity here to break and tie the game. Cannons will be very eager to hold this next point and bring back that lead to a 2-point margin, a little bit more comfortable for them.
So Zodiac have got a pretty large roster that they brought down to Otatahi. A few national representative players, including some U24 players that are going to be playing in a couple months' time. So this will be all good training for them in terms of more experience. And we have Ford with the pull. Tiang deciding not to pick that up, catch that, I should say.
Feels a little bit scrambled, but she's able to get the reset to Taylor Nards, who swings wide of the Zodiac zone.
Oof.
Belle Fraser not able to secure that. Zodiac with this, a golden opportunity here. Priscilla Yu exhibiting patience, finds Ford, back to you. Threads one low and through to Mihi Shepherd for the score. Zodiac tying the game.
It almost couldn't be any lower of a throw. She manages to break her defensive mark, and
fortunately for Mihi Shepherd, she doesn't have that far to reach to hit the ground and get underneath that disc. I think as a former teammate, I'm allowed to say that about her. Hopefully with minimal repercussions. Only time will tell, but the score is now 3-3. 22 minutes into our 90-minute game.
So just goes to show there's, both teams can easily go on runs, so it's going to be interesting to see how we go for the rest of this game.
The biggest thing to remember is that a disc is catchable until it touches the ground or is out of bounds.
So I wonder what do we think that Zev Fishman is telling his team at the moment?
Well, with the wind being a little bit from right to left as well as that crosswind, we know that the Cannons, it opens up a little bit of a longer game for them. So are we going to see some variation in that zone instead of that arrowhead forcing towards the side, which does leave their deep defenders a little bit alone and stranded there? Are they going to have someone move from that midline back to give support? Doesn't look like it at the moment.
It would be nice to see some longer looks from Cannons at this stage.
Tiang puts one up. Finds King. To Taylor Nards, back to Tiang. Near sideline finds Edwards.
Looking for King again in the end. Oh, looking for Cairns, apologies. And that was a nicely weighted throw. She wanted it to land just on top of her player, and she managed to do that downwind.
Yeah, but exactly as you said only a few points ago, Rachel, quite often when we see a zone like that, they're very, very front forward. Leaves a lot of space in the back room, and I think the Cannons recognized on that point, and that's one of the things that they capitalized on. They pushed over or passed, maybe one or two passes to get around that front wall, find an open player. As soon as the defense sets, we do it again. eventually overloading that deep space and finding a player unmarked in the end zone. Just a really great find.
It was a good. Really broke it open when they were throwing over the middle of that zone, which can be risky if the defenders are aware that they can, attempt for a D can be made, but a little bit higher and you're in the clear. So it was a good find on the sideline.
Cannons back up by 1.
So that's still, we're on serve at the moment then. Equal breaks at the stage. And a roller pull from Mance, looking to roll to the low side. So I imagine there's going to be a zone set up here to try and trap that disc there.
Spike out on the far sideline. Zeng with a great upline cut, but it doesn't come away.
So the handler marks in this zone defense are trying to push Zodiac backwards.
Again, seeing that zone, trying to go over the top, but trying to go over the top when Anna Cairns is on the field. Maybe not the easiest option. She gets right in there, manages to get head in front of the disc. And that's Edwards. Great bid.
That was a great positioning by Edwards. It's a shame she couldn't grab onto that disc instead of tapping it away. King manages to pull it in. Yeah,
great positioning and read and effort by Parker, but having it touch off the top of the fingers straight into the hands of the defender, or the intended receiver rather, always a little bit of a heartbreak, especially when it leads to a score.
But good positioning by Parker.
Absolutely. But just you can always see that heartbreak, that sag of the shoulders. Jumps up, touches, the immediate drop in the shoulders. It's the only way to shed the weight and get the focus back onto the next point.
So Yang with the pull. She's been pulling a lot this game, and I imagine she will continue to do so.
It's one of the things that I have noticed is that there are a lot of teams that aren't really splitting the pulling duties out as much as you might see otherwise, particularly in the mixed division where the gender matching majority on the field is responsible for the pull. We see a lot more swapping around.
An excellent attempt at a D there by the Cannons player, but she's inches away. Oof. And Jenkins had her hands in the mix there. I believe this is the same matchup that was a foul earlier. However, this one's, oh no, it wasn't, it was someone else, but this one's decided not a foul.
So possession is going to go to Cannons. This is going to be the break that they need. They want to push it closer to the half time, which in a game of 15 will be the first team to hit 8 points in total.
And a high shot that's just floating up into...
Great interception by Hahoff, the captain for the Zodiac side. Tries to quickly reset to Johnson. A little bit of a fumble is going to give the disc back to the Cannons, very close to their end zone. Edwards has it.
Edwards is, and by her toes grab from Mance there.
An absolute nail biter. A very, very low disc, but she goes to ground immediately to get a hand underneath it.
Mance saving her teammate's throw there. It was potentially could be a difficult catch, and she manages to lay out and make it look relatively easy.
Just what a play. We're going to get to see that again.
You can see the teammates celebrating together here on the field.
It's the two stutter steps for me. Really just keeping the defense right in front, and then as soon as the throw goes, it's just outside what the thrower's reach was going to be. We'll get to see it again. Edwards picks up the disc. There's one. There's two. And just has to dive for it. Great work.
Mance and Edwards have previously played together on the mixed season as well, I believe for Exiles. And we've got a timeout call here.
I would imagine it's probably Zodiac who's called the timeout. Just being 3 points behind, it's never a fun place to be. 6-3, I believe, is one of the most dangerous scores in Ultimate. And if you're if you're on the side with the 3, you're thinking, well, I wouldn't be the one want to be the ones on the side with the 6. It's a dangerous place to be.
We're going to have another 3-point.
That's right, another 3-point break. It's just 3-point break, 3-point break. It's going to swing us all the way to the end of the game.
Just like they planned, I'm sure.
Oh, just like Zev drew it up. Textbook fisherman coaching. But that's exactly it. And we've seen both of these teams are capable of putting on those multiple point runs, of generating those turns, and then converting those into a defensive break. Both of these teams have the skill, the athleticism. They're able to keep in it. Cannons just happen to get their streak first. So this is a great opportunity for Zodiac to really push back, to put some more points on the board, to keep it a close game. Cannons obviously are going to want to stop Zodiac from doing that. So they're wanting another couple of breaks. If they can get to 8 points first, they'll take half. There's a huge advantage, a psychological advantage, a real boost of performance of taking that half.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
We are back just in time for the pull. Puts a roller out and it's got some wheels. Logan has to take a knee to stop the momentum, carrying the disc further back into the upfield space. It's Zeng to initiate. Goes wide, finds Logan on the far sideline.
This looks like a what we would call a junk in Christchurch, or a saggy junk.
Parker under a lot of pressure, manages to find an opening in Jang on the far sideline. Fakes the big forehand, gets the defense to shift a little deeper. It opens up some space for a nice reset to Logan. Bouncing the disc off Parker. Zeng as a support. Not really an option. The zone applying the pressure now.
So you see the Cannons defensive players are switching from person to person as the disc moves. You're trying to stay in the same area of the field in order to contain the players who are in that area. We have Ng with the disc now. Logan's right in the middle, but quite close. It's tough sometimes when the player is too close to you. It's too many opportunities for the defense to get in the way. Ng working hard. Ng, a very versatile player, can play downfield as a receiver and also save hands if you need to move the disc around like she's doing currently.
Grace Douglas for the Cannons doing a huge amount of work shutting down the near side options, both as resets and as any opportunities to gain yardage up the field. It's one of those things that I think when we talk about defense, we really talk about aggression on the mark. We talk about great deep defenders who get intercepts, but we don't often say enough about the players who are actually just shutting down opportunities over and over again. We always look at the fakes that the throwers will make to signal that nothing's going to happen, but we don't often talk about why it is that those throws are not options.
Unfortunate little bobble by Logan. Yes, and when you're on the mark, even if the throw goes off, you know, it can be the little bit further that you push the thrower to swing wide that can make a big difference when it comes to getting defensive plays.
So Taylor Nard's going to pick up. Are we seeing a scuba?
Or she's eyeing up the push pass button instead.
High backhand, and it goes back to Grace Douglas, that shutdown defender for the Cannons. Manages to put one on the board. It is 7-3 Cannons over Zodiac, 1 point away from half in this game to 15, the final game of our stream coverage for day one of the 2023 New Zealand Ultimate Championships in the women's division.
So this, with the zone working so well, I imagine that the Cannons will keep using it. It doesn't seem that that Zodiac is making much ground in terms of breaking into the middle of this zone.
Yeah, it's really, really aggressive, this Cannon zone, and a lot of the work is happening as in that handler defense space. They're really pushing those resets back, and it's putting them in a really, really good position to convert that, because it isn't sort of your typical I guess, huck and D offense that you might see against a zone where they think, cool, there's a lot of pressure, but let's just throw for territory and then hope to generate a turn. Those downfield shots are completely being shut down. They're taken away by that aggressive front line and deep coverage from the Cannons defense. So the disc is going back and back, and every pass is an opportunity for a drop. And you stack enough of those up, eventually there's going to be a turn. And we've just seen Cannons able to generate those so close to the end zone that they're able to score off 1 or 2 passes and save a lot of energy for the next point.
Yeah, I want to see more cycling through of the handlers for Zodiac. They're looking to swing, they're looking to dump, but they're not looking for strike cuts, which is, I would say, is forward. You know, the handler throws it and then moves forward through the defensive players to try and widen the gap between them. It can work really effectively because as you throw and go as a handler, you're using your body to get in the way of the defenders, and it means that you're protecting certain lanes that can be thrown into, so it can be really useful.
Yeah, it's something that you see with a lot of players, particularly those who practice a lot of indoor when there's not a lot of space to move. Not that I'll gain any points with the community by advocating for the benefits of playing indoor, but
well, when you can't play outdoors, it can be nice.
Yeah, but just that awareness to seal off your defender using your cut.
And a shot that just got pulled by the wind there, unfortunately.
Man's Taylor Narts, but it goes to turf.
I like this by you. I like a quick pickup. And
And
huge shot by Ford.
Looking for Gorez.
And Gorez, almost, you can see her considering the second bid, but I don't think it lined up quite right for her.
I think Tian got up underneath it and got a touch. But Gorez not able to get the second bite of the apple. Bit of a shame for the Zodiac side. But Cannons have a long field, and we know that the Zodiac defense can generate a turn.
Ooh, and I think it just went through the hands there. Ow is always ready to go.
Puts one big, looking for Park. Oh, just squeezes off the palms as they close.
That is a tough one. You know, everything about the execution is perfect except for the final catch, the catching part of the throw.
Yeah, just those little tiny errors and everything start to add up. Maybe some miscalculations in the wind, something. It was a beautiful put.
You're seeing so many, quite a few players around the disc at the moment.
Cat Taylor Narts chipping through that zone. There's the scuba that we were hoping for, but Jessup gets underneath it. Forward to pick up early. You as an available reset, but we go to the other side. Shepard with a big backhand, looking for Park a second time. She gets it this time. What a score.
Hard won score by Zodiac there. Well deserved.
Great finish to that point as Zodiac bring it back within 3.
Park will be pleased she managed to end up getting the score in the end.
A little bit of a redemption opportunity there, really. But it all comes down to the hard work by the teams. Yes, the turnover happened, but as we say in Hamilton, they closed the disappointment gap and are able to make that switch back onto defense. Managed to generate a turn, applying pressure. Sarah Jessup getting underneath that scuba attempt by Taylor Narts to break past the zone. And then Ford quickly moving the disc across to Shepard for a big backhand to curve around to where Park was waiting for another opportunity. Great work by the Zodiac ladies on that score.
Good work by the downfielders and the handlers alike when it comes to these turns by, on Zodiac. They're looking for a quick turn, but the receivers are also ready for it, importantly. There's no point in picking up the disc if your receivers are just standing in the stack. So I'm glad that they're light on their feet and they're ready to go at a turn's notice. We see Catteo Lenart's being carried off the field. I think she's fine, just wanting to spend more time with her friends.
Put me in, coach, put me in. A great pull, kind of lands in between some of the Cannons players, so there's that little bit of a lag as they figure out who's going to take responsibility. But it's Mance to Edwards. Far sideline to Hansen. Pressured again by the zone. It's Bartle, Santillion, and you up the front, forcing that disc around and wide.
And I want, where's these deep looks? They're very shallow at the moment. It's good to divvy up the responsibilities as receivers to see when I'm going to cut under and when I'm going to cut deep. We see Hansen on the high side. Oof.
Question as to whether or not there was contact. It looks like no.
That was
great play by Hannah Au to sneak in there.
oh, and a little too far for her.
Yeah, looks like the timing on that one was just a little off. The throw came away before Hannah Au recognized that it was going to be coming. It's a tough thing to do. There was a big turn involved in that quick switch. It's a tough play to make at the best of times. So the disc is going to go back to the Cannons on the far sideline now. Right in front of the corner, it's going to be Mance, puts a big one up.
And Ford recognizes that. She's able to close the distance as the deep.
And make a clean play on that too, which is the big thing. You puts a massive forehand up. Eaten up by Edwards. Runs it to the front of the end zone, hoping for another attempt to push on that downfield. Sends a bit of a bigger backhand this time. It's Cairns. Cairns to Besling.
And we have assistant in the deep. Besling being patient though, looking for her open dump. Edwards in control again.
Mance with the disc to Hansen.
Ooh, nice bid by Au. She's always in the middle there. There's some really, you can just tell, drilled throws going on here. They know exactly where their teammate's going to be.
There it is. Anna Cairns. Great reception there as the Cannons take half. The score now 8-4. Cannons trying to put their first win on the board for the day. Up over the Auckland Zodiac side by 4 points. A great first start for the Canterbury team. But we will be back in just a little bit for the second half of the final match of the first day of our exciting tournament. My name is Blair Monroe.
My name is Rachel Siahani Royal.
And we will be back with you very shortly. And we are back for the second half of this exciting match between the Canterbury Cannons and Auckland's Zodiac. Cannons having taken half in this game to 15, the first team to reach 8 points. Coming out on defense now.
Another roller pull from Cannons. They've obviously been training that.
Ing picks up early.
We see a similar look to the previous half. I wonder what Zodiac talked about in their half to try and break through this. And just at the hands of Spiker into that direction.
Jenkins with the touch for the interception.
Making sure it goes to ground. That corner in particular is tough when you're throwing up into the wind.
Zodiac again playing that arrowhead zone. Duffy, Johnson, and Ing
Just
trying to force the disc sideways towards the sideline for an opportunity to trap it.
It takes a lot of focus to make sure that you're working on the release point of your throws and not letting yourself get lazy and releasing them high. You know, it's the path of least resistance is definitely just to, you know, send it flick out, but you really need to ensure that you're working hard. And
that is exactly what Zodiac were hoping for, to generate that turn going back the other way.
Ing is chasing it down. We've got Far and Ing. And under correction by Ing there.
Yeah, just a really great early positioning by Jenkins, I believe. Or Becky Farr.
Becky Farr, yes.
Becky Farr getting up underneath that, just parking up, taking that space. Just a perfect read on the disc and able to clear it from Ing's grasp on that one.
And we've got Cannons coming in, but they've got a long field to work up. There's a lot of space in the middle at the moment that they don't seem to be using, but there are a lot of Zodiac players in the way. Oh, and we've got a little collision on the field.
A foul called.
We'll leave
contact at least.
Is it Harkoff on the ground? She's up again though, so luckily no one's injured. Just some tight defense in the ribs by Jenkins.
Just a reminder for those watching at home, Ultimate is a non-contact sport.
So self-officiated by the players.
Great pull down by McGuinness. Continuing to chip away.
Full pace by McGuinness and Mance there, but unfortunately, fortunately, Edwards is underneath the disc.
Just like they drew it up, surely. Quick dish to Mance. Bounces back to Edwards on the far sideline, marked by Johnson. Very aggressive, very active on the mark.
Bessling able to open up that swing for Edwards. Edwards always has an amazing way of not looking like she's working very hard while also being extremely effective. It's very frustrating to play against. And so you see these handlers trying to split up the Zodiac players into different directions. And a little bit of a wayward throw. Maybe just trying to, maybe Matt saw something that we couldn't see in the end zone and was just trying to hit that quickly.
But Harhoff gets underneath it, decides not today. That's interesting again, every time I'm looking at the Zodiac zone, particularly when we sort of hit around the halfway mark and perhaps deeper into the Cannons defensive zone. Spiker with the disc now, threads one right through. Finds Johnson to Ing. It's the fact that they're often leaving Julia Giorgio in the deep space, and Cannons are able to push two players deep to try and really pressure that.
And Duffy there to scoop that up.
But an injury called, looks like Giorgio might have been cleated.
I think that might have been Zodiac on Zodiac. Teammate on teammate. That's a long crawl off the field for Giorgio. That's it, guys. Don't worry about helping her. She'll be fine. Here's some smiles.
The picture of dignity. Well done to our sideline cameraman Rexy for capturing the plights of an injured Ultimate player as she leaves the field.
You okay? We are still smiles on the sideline though over here. So we have got Duffy with the disc, I believe.
Yes. Coombridge having taken the substitution for Giorgio.
Ow.
Ow, you are correct. Spike with the disc there.
Spike's got some excellent longer throws, and she also is able to release them in a small amount of space. This one, unfortunately, not quite long enough for Ing to pick up.
Far trying some quick motion throwing, finds Mance far sideline after bouncing the disc off Edwards. An aggressive zone.
Far looking to bring that one down.
Just enough float under that disc.
Oof.
Tries to bullet it back, and it slips through the hands. Zodiac with a golden chance here. Ow to Spiker.
Every point at the moment is important for Zodiac, and they manage Harkoff with the score. That's a connection that they've made many thousands of times, I'm sure, out of Harkoff. Years of playing together.
I think that was out of Duffy.
Oh, apologies.
The ponytails. They're
the ponytails,
so fast.
yes.
Creates such a visual blur. But a great score nonetheless.
Zodiac celebrating that on the field.
Either Harhoff or Duffy, either one.
I believe
either
it
one
was
would have been a
Duffy.
great receiver there.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it was either of them.
Spiker to Ow. 42. Megan Duffy with the score to bring Zodiac back within 3.
Which is a run that they've done this game and are very capable of, so hopefully we'll see the scores getting closer. And we have Logan again with the pull here.
So a nice, it'll be good to see a Zodiac defensive point starting off. That was a very long point, actually, that last one. Halftime feels like an eternity ago. But when we left, it was 8-4 in favor of Cannons. We've had 1 point since coming back after half.
Now it's interesting that we have seen a lot of pulls from Logan. It's definitely a massive asset to the team to have a good puller, but sometimes you do wonder if you want to divvy up the energy demands between different players. We've got Taylor Arts looking deep, but it's way too low. She was really trying to reward that early cut by McGuinness, but a little rushed.
Although, if Cannons were playing a zone on this point, it's going to give them a lot of opportunity to get that set early and in a good position to generate a turn for a quick score. So we'll see what the plan is, whether or not they're sticking. Looks like more of a match defense.
I think it's a zone currently. We've got someone hovering in the deep. They had plenty of time to set that up, and the deep shot goes up. Again, kind of right into the wind direction, and when it goes that high above the player's level, can...
Some textbook huck and D on display from both Cannons and Zodiac. A lot of pressure from the defensive side, but we're seeing some offensive options just try and gain as much territory as possible.
We've got another deep cut by Far. This time it's Tiang, but unfortunately it was too far.
Roll on snare. No, that was good. It was a great cut by Far, but Zodiac are going to take possession now.
And and McGuinness recognizes someone not running onto the disc to take the catch, and they...
Just a great awareness there, sneaking through,
and
getting touch.
explosiveness through that lane.
Such a great block there, just really aggressive run through, immediately getting set up in the end zone for what comes next.
Wonder if it's going to be a scooper from Taylor Arts.
But it's a half pivot backhand to McGuinness, the bookends. There it is, we'd love to see it.
Asset to her team, McGuinness. She's able to celebrate that point.
A huge, just a one-pass possession, that one.
If only every point was that effective.
The games would be a lot shorter, I think.
Yeah, not quite as exciting either.
Yeah, definitely. But Kat Taylor Arts with a great pickup. Finds McGuinness on an isolation route.
Good patience from Kat there, from Taylor Arts. It's sometimes I feel like the only way that you can, or the best way to remain calm when you're staring down picking up the disc into a whole field of defenders is you just have to do it over and over and over again.
Time on the tools, absolutely.
Yes.
And so once again, as you pointed out before, we've got the entire Cannon sideline taking the field. Just make sure that they're all on board with the points, this points strategy, both offense and defense. I've said it before. I've said it earlier today. I've said it so many times over my streaming career. There are 3 lines that win games. There's the O-line, the D-line, and the sideline. The communication is everything. And so making sure those team members are on board with the defensive strategy, they can provide information and just awareness to players. They're acting as eyes in the back of our defenders' heads.
I imagine we're going to see a roller pull here. I think I saw Fa instructing Tiang on technique for a roller pull earlier.
Spiker with a great early give and go to Zeng. But the defensive zone by the Cannons applies a little bit too much pressure. Cairns out front, putting those big wings to use.
And there's a turn there.
A very short reset just went awry. It's going to give Cannons back the disc. An opportunity here for them to break double digits in the game.
And we've got a pickup by Tiang, who's facing the front of their zone again. Now this is high. This is going to be a skybox, and Harkoff is right underneath it. It's a risky move, batting that away. Luckily, it worked out for her. And she's got a deep cutter. However, we're not looking that far yet. They're really, those handlers are cutting in early to take up the space, and caught by Bessling. No receivers there for Zodiac.
Great work with Tiang there.
Sisson, unfortunately, just that goes a little high, but it's able to be chased down. And we've got a lot of movement downfield, but the handlers apparently are not liking what they are seeing.
Sisson finds Bessling.
Nice rising grab by Taylor Arts. Open dump, and just too easy for Taylor Arts. She kind of just lets that one drop, unfortunately. She'll be wanting that back.
Yeah. Oh, straight over the head of our sideline cameraman. Cheeky couple waves from the players by way of apology. In fact, it's interesting that you mentioned that easy reset was the one that Taylor Arts wasn't able to make. And I think it goes back to what you were saying before about, you know, that confidence that you have staring down a crowded end zone is just time on the tools. It's repetition at repetition. And it really speaks to the Cannons defense that Taylor Arts hasn't seen many easy resets this season. Every single training, the defense is going to be pressuring that. So it could be a fact that she's just not used to easy throws because her teammates never let her have them.
I think it's hard at the end of a long day of playing. You want things to be easy, and it's easy to just not put the right amount of effort in. You need to be focused at all times when you're playing, and it's so easy to let that lapse.
Cairns manages to find Tiang in the center field. Winds up the big forehand fake, backhand fake to get Taylor Arts to keep moving.
Ooh, and just out of the hands again.
Fuller not able to secure that one. Once again, looks like a bit of a zone. We've got Cairns, Sisson.
I want to see these handlers pushing forward more, pushing through that kind of cut that Spiker's making, but faster.
From the Zodiac side?
From the Zodiac side, yes, because there's space in the middle, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You get your body in the way, and it's more effective. Oh, and a great read by Duffy, but it manages to just pop out of her hand. So we're looking at a low side pickup by Tiang. On the mark here, I'd be wanting to really put the pressure on. You can see these Zodiac players working together, trying to drive the throws wider. So you've got Ing and Spiker trying to take the, be on the right and left of number 88. On the right and left of Jang, and creating a wall you can't throw through.
Taylor Arts working backwards with Tiang to find Cairns.
Oof, and over the head of Sisson there. There were some good triangle cutting shapes they had working. And Cannons are back into their zone. We've done this all game. They're used to finding their spots in their zone now. Oof. Oh, and it's still alive. Sisson bats it away.
A great tip by Sisson, but keeping the disc up. Maybe a Zodiac player could have gotten onto it. Cannons are very fortunate that it didn't go that way. It's Tiang to pick up, marked by Jang, Ing, and Duffy on the Arrowhead zone, but it's 1-2 passes to Fuller on the far side of the field.
Jang trying to wrap around Teo Lenartz and get her hand in the way. The front of their zone's looking a little tired at the moment. Not in, they're still working really hard, but it's been a long point for them. And unfortunately, it pops out of Fuller's hands again. This little spot over here is a bit cursed, I think.
Yeah, we might need to get some holy water or something before we start the games up tomorrow.
So Zodiac working backwards. Don't want to be pushed too much further backwards.
Jang goes up for it, not able to get enough of a hand to it. Cannons slowing the pace down a little bit, trying to re-establish control of the field. Dish backhand to Teo Lenartz. Works back with Fuller on this sideline.
The three at the front here, Jang, Duffy, and Ning, are holding their shape nicely.
Yeah, doing a really, really good job of controlling the available options for the Cannons offense.
That's exactly it, except they're just broken through there a little bit. There's a call on the disc, a foul. It looked like definitely unintentional, but there was some contact there, non-minor contact. So we have Spiker and Teo Lenartz making the discussing the call. Interesting call. I feel like she could have had Teo Lenartz could have had advantage if she just kept playing, although maybe she got rattled a bit.
Yep, totally understandable, and that's the thing with a self-officiated sport. I always feel as though it's better to make the call, have the discussion, especially after a long point when you're tired and every few seconds counts.
Yes, the advantage of of stopping for a little bit.
But Tiang working with Hansen on the far sideline. Cannons are going to retain possession. There's the big shot, looking for Cairns over half.
Ooh, and a foul called by Cairns, indicating that there was some contact with the, I imagine, the arms there. It was a close bid by both of them. So it seems that the call might be made on the contact between their arms while they were jumping. So it looks like it's an uncontested foul.
So this is going to get checked in, at which point the players are able to move, and Cairns is going to take the disc to the front of the end zone. Looks back, immediately finds Tiang, happy to lose those yards to get the disc in the hands of a confident handler. It's Fuller.
And Cairns manages to bring it in the end.
Great work there by Anna Cairns.
Good use of the break side there. She'd, after she tapped the disc in, Cairns cut to the back of the end zone, and then did a nice cut to the front of the end zone to the cone there. So the cone's a really safe place to cut towards. It's usually a good angle for the to receive the disc at.
Yeah, we'll get to see that one again. Nice wide open space for Cairns.
Good recognition by Fuller. She turns around, sees the cutter, quickly is able to adjust her grip and release that throw. She's not wasting any time.
Just floating it out into space. A great way for for Cannon, to put their 10th point on the board. They're currently up by 5. 67 minutes in to our 90-minute game.
That was a long point, but we see Karen still staying on the field. Apparently plenty of juice left for her. Plenty of gas in the tank.
McGuinness with the disc for the pull by the looks.
Mance with the,
oh,
with
Mance
the
with
disc.
the pull, sorry. It's the big fluffy here. It's hard to tell from a distance. There's too much style on the Cannon side. They're all entirely too well put together. You can't look at the players and always make a good call as to who's doing what. But Mance putting the big pull up. I'll also be honest, this is not sponsored by Specsavers, but I probably do need to get my prescription checked.
Even if you don't, it's far away. Ooh!
Great work there by Edwards to just get in the way and stop a play being made on that disc.
Can be really important just to be in the space of the player who's trying to receive the disc. Ooh, and it's
definitely a strip on the run through, so Sanders is going to keep possession of the disc.
Unfortunately, that's not a legitimate D. If only it was.
Edwards has it now, puts a big high angle forehand.
And that, again, she likes, that's a shot that she's really good at, that kind of slightly downwind. She knows just how to weight it so that's going to fall on top of your head and allow you, and go over the defense as well, especially.
What a great point there. Very, very quick off that turn as well. Some really great work by the Cannons. Zodiac starting to flag maybe a little bit.
Still working together, though. It's just been long points. They've been making progress, but both teams have had it pop out of their hands quite a few times during these points, and it's just Cannons that's been able to convert.
Looks like a timeout has been called, though. Even though we've got 7 players on the line from the Cannons, Zodiac, as a side, have taken a full team huddle in the middle of the field, maybe to iron out a few of the little wrinkles in their play so far that the Cannons have been able to exploit.
We just saw a Cannons player checking in, I think, with the Zodiac team as well, potentially just making sure that they're both on the same page as far as how the game is going.
So, Rachel, tell me, if you were Coach Zev Fishman and you were in that huddle right there, you know that your ladies have been playing incredibly well. Your players are making you so proud with the effort that they're putting in and just the constant hard work. But for whatever reason, we're not able to close out a couple of those points. What are you going to say to them? What adjustments are you going to try and make to really swing this game around the other way? We know that Zodiac are able to put on those strings of points, but what adjustments need to be made in order to see more of those in the second half?
I feel like the Zodiac handlers and players are moving around the defense where they could be owning the space a bit more in terms of not obviously you're not causing contact or anything, but you want to be able to choose your line and your cut and your space without without trying to avoid the defense. Sometimes you want to run right past them, and that can be most advantageous. So I think that they're just being a little bit hesitant. I feel like they could be a little bit more, not aggressive, but owning their lines a little bit more when it comes to their cuts.
Just a bit more intentionality from that Zodiac side. Yeah, I think you've mentioned that a couple of times. You'd like to see those handlers really push through a little bit, some more aggressive strike cuts, just testing the defense, giving them something to react to as opposed to having to necessarily play around them, which I think you're right. That's what we have been seeing them do in this half. They've been really pressured by that cannon zone. We're seeing Cairns and Bell Fraser really set up at the front, giving them a great big obstacle to have to throw around.
Tall players can also be, sometimes it can be difficult. If you are a shorter player and you're being marked by a taller player, it's a lot easier for you to get down low and throw low. So you have to make those taller players bend all the way over in order to...
You were saying before again about Lillian Parker being marked up by Bell Fraser. Fraser not having the easiest time getting her hands close to the ground, and Parker as a...
the shorter of the two players.
There we go. That's probably the most diplomatic way of saying it. Just gives her a greater opportunity and opens up some windows that are more in her range. So yeah, just maybe testing the defense a little bit more from the Zodiac side might be what we need to see in the rest of this game.
It seems to me, though, that Zodiac is they're hustling. They're still making plays on the disc. I think that maybe the fatigue is getting to them a little bit, but they're not, their heads don't look down. They're still in the game in terms of applying themselves.
Becky Farr puts a roller down.
Well-loved pull by Cannons. They love their rollers this game. So we have the aforementioned Parker on the disc, with the disc. So
Logan through to Ing.
And we've got Duffy on this high side over here, close to the camera. I would be looking at that throw next. A beautiful pass by Duffy, and just
a little on the high side. Gets tipped by Logan's fingers from underneath. It's a great look, curving around the defense.
Great shot. Maybe just a little bit behind Logan, unfortunately, as well. It can just surprise you a little bit, but I'd throw that again.
Yeah, I'd throw that every day. Oh, just up. Well, there's no call from the Zodiac defense, which I guess is what counts.
It can be hard when you're chasing if you are at the front of the zone and you're marking the handlers. You don't always see the up and down calls, so sometimes you need your other players to call that for you.
Ing, Johnson, and
Ooh.
Duffy.
And Georgiou is emphatic with that D.
And Spiker on a little quick pop pass jump in
So she's
to
using
put Zodiac on 6.
she's doing kind of exactly what I would want her to do, and using her, she's catching it on the right-hand side of her and protecting any potential bid by using her body.
Yeah, just some really, really good proprioception, some good body awareness relative to the disc, relative to the defense. It's really, really good to see. It's quite, I guess, like when players sort of have a few years experience under the belt, a few seasons, you start to see those, I guess, additional or like very sport-specific skills start to develop more that you wouldn't see in a player if this is their first or second season. They're probably not as conscious of what can go wrong and what exactly you have to be on the lookout for. So great work by Spiker there to jump that one in.
And I think it's also the experience of field awareness. You don't need to be looking at players all the time in order to know exactly where they are. But if you have an awareness of where they're likely to be or where they have been most recently, it's really valuable. You have a picture in your brain of what the field looks like at all times. That's also a kind of thing that can take time. Some people have a very innate ability, and
I'm not one of them.
I'm not one of those either. And we have Au with the disc. This is the first pull by Zodiac in a couple points, I think. So we'll see what they have on defense.
It's going to touch down and roll.
A roller pull is very vogue right now.
It's the pull du jour. But I think mainly because we're looking to leverage the time delay in terms of getting the disc to stop moving to allow our defensive zones to set up. So we've got Jessup, Gores, and Park with Au in our sort of mid space, the heart of that zone.
Good pressure from Gores there. And Jessup is just still forcing. We've got that little arrowhead, same as before.
Taylor Nards with a massive backhand, straight into the hands of the deep Julia Ford.
Oh, and
A jumped reset gives the disc back to the Cannons. An opportunity to close this point out here and take them within 3 of a victory.
we are seeing the defense change now.
Looking to maybe focus on a match defense as opposed to that zone.
Match is called. We have, this is a good, Park and McGuinness would have been nice to see more of that matchup. Park has been great on the, speedy in the front of that zone, really speedy.
Just some great work by the 9s there. Number 39, Madeline Tiang to Tiarafai McGuinness, number 19, and then Kat Taylor Nards, 29 to close that point out. Great work by the Cannon side as they go 3 away from victory. 6 points ahead of Zodiac from Auckland.
Now, I imagine that this game will determine what time these players have to get up tomorrow. 2 different time slots for their games. One is the earlier slot, one is the later slot. I know which one I would prefer.
Yeah, I think a win here, if a win here lets you have a sleep in, then surely that's as much incentive as an easier part of the finals.
So Zodiac is ready on the line. They've had a chance quite a few times this game to be the offensive receiver, so they might have they'll probably have their offense drilled at this stage for these for this position. And would you guess it's a roller? But we are moving quickly here. We've got number 88, who is Jang, cutting deep. She's really open in this mid space. So
The high backhand.
and
Just over the top of Jang, not able to get a read on that one. The disc is going to go back to the cannons.
Jang was in a really good space there. Hopefully she'll be rewarded for that next time. And we have a quick turn again by Fuller.
Logan with a big
Logan.
forehand looking for Ing. Finds her
Logan.
for the score.
A safe receiver there, and Ing.
Zodiac 7, Cannons 12.
What a nice quick score from Zodiac there. A little bit of pep in their step after that point. And now they get to call their defense, so we'll see if we, I imagine it'll be the same zone again. It would be nice to see them adjust their zone a little bit, potentially. I think that their arrowhead is working really nicely, and they're not being broken in the middle too much, but the wings are a little deep sometimes, so.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you tend to find with an arrowhead quite often. Wings not really knowing when to push in and be aggressive. And it can make it a really, really difficult thing, because the moment you push in slightly too aggressive, you might have a player who's just 3 or 4 meters right at the sort of back of your shoulder, and now they're a viable option for anything overhead, and you're not going to be in a position to close in. But the flip side of that is if you stay too deep to guard that deep threat, as the disc swings, you're going to miss an easy continuation that's going to have someone in a good position to send one deep. And as you pointed out before, Rachel, a 3-3-1 is very front-loaded. You can quite easily overload the back, the deep end of the zone, just by sending 2 players deep, because one player, no matter how good they are, is never going to be able to perfectly cover 2 deep receivers, especially when we've seen players like Belle Fraser, Anna Cairns on the Cannon side, who have that height and that reach, or you've got your Kat Taylor Nantzes, your Natalie Tiangs, who have that speed. So we don't see a roller this time, but it does land a little short, so we're going to have plenty of time to put any zone that we're, if we choose to. But it looks like we're sticking to a match defense. Hard force towards the sideline. Mance gets off the reset, finds Edwards.
Mance again looking for the disc. There's a lot of, you can tell that they've done this many times. And, I feel like Edwards was really directing her receivers there. She said, this is where you should be. I'm going to throw to that spot. An interesting shape over the top of Cairns' head, a difficult read, so it's a turn.
Yeah, we've spoken a little bit at length today about the idea of same third throws. So splitting the field into 3 vertical channels. Ideally, you want the disc's path to cross from one channel into the other, and so the receiver to be starting from a different third of the field than the thrower. In cases like this, that's exactly where that turn came from. The disc was coming over the top of Kansas' head. It's a really hard one to do. The disc touches, goes back. Couple of quick possession shifts. Zodiac are going to have the disc. Priscilla Yu to initiate, supported by Al and Ford.
And Yu's
Cannons.
still there. She's open on the line. It's a tough throw over the head, though. So we want a bit more movement from you there. It's tough to throw to a receiver who's standing still.
Shepherd with the disc. A lot of pressure. Sanders closes in, manages to put enough of a phantom defense on that one to generate the turn.
When it gets to a high stall count as well, you know, so often you get tense and you need to get rid of the disc, and the throw comes out really snappy. And
Yeah, just like that sort of that soft, gentle execution that you might be used to. Once that stall gets above sort of 8 or 9, all of a sudden the disc comes out, and it never comes out exactly the way you want to. How many times have we seen stall resets that are very steep angled backhands that curve to places they probably shouldn't? A great reception there.
by Sisson.
Great work to put another on the board. Cannons 2 away from a victory.
Sisson, a really fast receiver. And I think this is her first season with Cannon, so hopefully she's enjoying the different environment.
Well, they certainly are bringing a huge amount of energy to the fields. Really getting fired up, these Cannons. They are the hometown heroes, or as sort of close to it as you can get. It's really nice to see them sort of playing in their own stomping grounds and putting on such a great performance in this tournament, particularly in this match.
They've also, their coach, I believe is Richard Fernando, who's also done a lot of work organizing this tournament, but who's also playing today. So they don't have the benefit of having their coach or coaches with them like Zodiac does. Coaches, I imagine Zev Fishman, their Zodiac coach, has been collecting all the stats, or all that he can, so he'll be using that information tonight and see what the Zodiac can learn from it.
Having been on the receiving end of one of those little stat parties can be both an opportunity for great self-esteem and also a crushing blow to one's ego.
Yes.
But considering the way that these Zodiac players have been playing them and playing with such intensity and just such focus and such great energy, that I think it's going to be a joy to sit in on that and know who's gotten assists and who's gotten a lot of touches on the disc and who's been sort of passing to the most people. So it could be a potentially really fun opportunity. There's the roller pull.
Well, but it's rolling the wrong way a little bit. So one of the ideas of a roller, it depends on if this was what she was trying to do, is to roll it to the low side. And picked up by, I think, Zhang.
Yeah, Zhang kept that one alive. Some great secure reset.
And just dropping in the wind to Ing, not able to pick it up. But yes, rolling it to the low side, so you not only have time to set up, but you know where you're going to set up on the field. Far with the disc. Ooh, and just out of Legrel's hands. She almost had too much time to catch that one. But she's setting up on D. She'll be hungry to get it back.
But that is one of the perils, as you're talking about the high side, low side, so the near sidelines where the wind is coming from. So a throw to the near sideline from the far sideline, like that one that Mance just tried to put up to Legrel. It's going to have the wind up underneath. It's going to push it a little bit and change its path. It does make for a much harder read.
I believe that we just heard the soft cap being sounded. Must have been for a different game. We've still got 5 minutes during this game.
Zhang looking for Johnson, not able to make that connection happen, giving the disc back to the Cannons. We're going to have another 5 minutes before we kick this one off, before we finish this game off, rather. So depending on how the next 5 minutes shake out, we could be looking at a game to 14, a game to 15.
And we've got our arrowhead again. Mance getting a lot of touches these past few points.
Absolutely. Far having to work around, tries a couple of fakes over the tops, manages to find Edwards. Back to Far. Back to Mance, center field.
You see this triangle. And Legrel is so close with that. Mance trying to open up that space. Tired of passing it between the handlers, wants to give it to someone else. But you could see that triangle between those three handlers, between Far, Mance, and Edwards. They are moving that triangle back and forth in order to move the defense back and forth as well.
Zhang's got the disc now. Comes back to Spiker, over the top to Duffy. Wide open in the midfield, a couple of fakes, shifts the defense, quick reset to Spiker.
Spiker wants a long shot.
Ing's got it. Tanisha Johnson for the score.
Ing only needs the one hand. I think Spiker's done a good job of, she's got good ability to throw backhand and forehand. She knows one's being marked out, she's going to go straight to the other side.
Absolutely.
Good flexibility in her throws.
Yeah, great point there.
Great take by Ing.
And good finish by Zodiac. The score 13-7 in favor of the Cannons.
Still not done. Zodiac's still in this. It takes got to be tough mentally so that to see that scoreline and not be intimidated by it, because they still a long game to go. So we have Al with the disc.
Only a couple minutes left before we hit soft cap in this game.
Tiang to pick up the disc. She's looking at some Zodiac players that are quite close. You got to make sure that you're not within 3 meters of the person with the disc for double teaming reasons. But the Zodiac player is roving.
Oh, Taylor Nard slightly overthrows. Going to give the disc back to Zodiac. In a very good position for them to score from, potentially.
You with the disc by the looks of it. I don't know if Al knew that was coming, but it worked. And that's the score. Only took two throws. That's all you need sometimes.
Great work by Zodiac to put another one on the board.
We can see that score again. Already this shot coming to Al is a little unexpected. But it hits her in the right spot. And a nice 7 cut from the Zodiac receiver. So it's just put her her defensive player on her heels by cutting one direction and then straight back again. And good communication between teammates there. You see a little point from the receiver.
Mihi Shepherd with the score, I think, for that one. Some great work. Zodiac back within 4. We are 15 seconds away from our soft cap. We have to play this point before we determine what the point score is going to be.
So we've just had an indication that the players are calling soft cap on the field.
And there is the hooter to signify our soft cap. We will play this point and then add one to the highest score. It is going to be either game to 14 or game to 15, depending on the outcome of this next point. Logan with a great big pull.
I feel like we haven't had a pull in this direction for a while.
Yeah. Shelving the roller for a change. Taylor Nance to Tiang. Back to Taylor Nance, far sideline.
Back to the middle again to Tiang. With those swings to the high side, you also want to be making ground downfield if possible. So I'll be looking at Fuller cutting further downfield. Ooh, and nice little find in the middle. Great
Cans
find.
to Sisson. Back to Tiang.
Sisson already has her eyes back on the disc again to see if it's coming her way.
Paige Hansen with the disc right on the near sideline, goes back to Tiang. Taylor Nance on the far sideline now. Works back towards the middle, just manages to keep that one in hands. It's Al right up front on the mark, trying to shut down the flow.
Ooh. And that just a little too quick for the Cannons players. That's from King, I think. So we have some the handlers in tight spaces over here from Zodiac. And it's a beautiful run shot that the player can run onto. Beautiful throw from Al.
Kat Santillan with the disc on the near sideline.
She's got time. She's got her handlers coming back to her. And the zone is set up again.
Finds Hayward. Finds Al. A little bit of an ankle tap, but looks to be okay.
Al's
no
right back
injuries.
up again. She'd rather just keep playing.
Al to Ford.
And Ford to Logan. That
What
shot,
a find!
that just was right over the head of Tail and Arts. It was a beautiful find. Wonder if they've played together before.
I was going to say, when you've got a player like Kat Taylor Arts matching up against Julia Ford, I'd say at least 40% of the passes are probably going to go over the head.
Sometimes, you know, depends on how much hops a person has in them, I guess.
Yeah, I would probably have to go and say that Katrina is probably the tallest short athlete I can imagine. She definitely plays with the energy and presence of someone bigger than she is.
She jumps
and it's
with the
so amazing to see.
She jumps with the presence of a taller person as well. So this is game 2-14.
Yes, after that score by Zodiac, because the point started before the soft cap went off through that point. We've finished that point. We add 1 to the high score. It is now a game to 14.
And Zodiac's in double digits now too. They're not too far behind.
Yeah, just a 3-point margin. We've seen tighter margins than that get close up. We've seen sort of looser margins than that get close up over the course of this tournament as well.
So we had both teams had their full team on the line discussing this next point. Stakes are high. And we've also been joined on the sideline by Richard Fernando, whose wedding is next weekend. So he'll be able to talk to his team and coach them for the last couple minutes of this game.
So again,
or longer.
We've got Shepherd, Gorez, and Park on the defense, but we're able to thread one straight through.
But just not enough snap in that throw.
Forward's going to pick up. Works with Gorez.
To Au. Au's looking for Gorez again, who's got space, but she has to run it down. Woo! She takes out her own player, but she retains possession. Gorez is lots of big fakes.
Manages to find you in the center field to Au. There's the big forehand. Who's under it? Shepherd's got it.
That was a brilliant
Looking to
read.
close.
And just over the head. A little spin move from Gorez trying to read that disc in. That was so close for Zodiac. They'll be hungry here to try and get that disc back.
Mance to Edwards.
And a low release from Edwards.
Great boxing position by Ford. Just takes the space, doesn't let that player through. Al baits out a foot block attempt. Goes wide, finds Shepherd. Big fake to move the defense into the deep space. Mance closing in on defense.
Shepherd's got a player, and it's
Jessup.
Shepherd again. Lots of touches at this point. She's an important player here.
Al putting a big one up. There it is. Zodiac on 11, Cannons 13. I think that was Jessup again.
Jessup
Sarah
to score.
Jessup. Just great work there. Bringing it back within 2.
Zodiac aren't letting go.
No, these are the breaks we were expecting to see from Zodiac. They demonstrated early on they can string back 2-3 points in a row. They are keeping this game close. It is not going to be an easy match for the Cannons. They're really going to have to fire up if they want to get a hold here, especially when the pressure starts to set in. Both of these teams have faced down some very tough opponents so far in this tournament. This is going to be the big opportunity for a win, and the problem is coming in off 2 losses, needing a win on the first day to really make the tournament worth it. When that pressure starts to set in, the mistakes start to creep in with them. They piggyback on that pressure.
Yeah, you need to really double down on your focus towards the end of these games, because you know it's natural to want to. Your body doesn't want to work hard, so you gotta combat that. You see these brilliant orange sun hoodies over here. If you're gonna have a colored sun hoodie, may as well be a bright color, I guess. So again, Cannons are 1 point away from winning this game. However, they've got a kind of upwind field to work, so they're gonna have to do. It's not in yet. It's not done yet.
Great pull from Logan. Tiang to Edwards, pressured by Shepherd. That same zone.
Edward
Santillion.
and Mance on again, being pulled in to try and work the zone.
Shepherd, Yu, and Centillion. It's an aggressive combination in the women's division. But Te Arawhai McGuinness giving Manson option in the downfield space, slowly chipping past, managing to work it far with a big backhand fake on the far sideline.
She saw Karen's cutting but didn't like it, and Tiang instead likes the cut from McGuinness.
And that's Cat Tail and Arts to close out the game.
And it's being signaled as a score, so
Some absolutely fantastic work by the Cannons to walk away with that win, and some amazing work by Zodiac to close that margin and really bring it back. Such an impressive performance from that Auckland side. Just a fantastic game from both of these teams. Could not be more of a privilege to be here with you, Rachel, and talk to you about what we're getting to see, what we're getting to bring to those of you who are watching from home.
yeah.
But that concludes the first day of our streaming for the 2023 New Zealand Ultimate Championships in the women's division.
Div 1, yes.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, my name is Blair Monroe.
My name is Rachel Siahani Royal.
Thank you so much for watching.